I am your friend, Dr. Charles Apoki. Welcome to the Church Without Borders, Global Church Without Borders, without schedule, without structure. But it's very effective. And I've been doing a series of sociological, biblical principles that will help you in life. Today, I want to look at the righteous hookup girl. A hookup girl that was considered righteous by God. If you read in James chapter 2, verse 25, the writer of James was saying that because Rahab, the prostitute in Jericho, hid the two spies and saved them, that it was considered by God as a righteous act. And if you read the genealogy of Jesus Christ, you will see that Rahab, the hookup girl, was part of the lineage of Jesus Christ. Why would God take a hookup girl to fulfill a supreme duty and at the same time allow her genes to be in the genes of the lineage that Jesus came from, even though Jesus did not have our kind of genes, but just the association alone? If we were writing that kind of history, we won't like to include the name of that kind of person in the genealogy of Jesus Christ. So let's do a study. Let's look at Joshua chapter 2 from verse 1. Please, this is a church service, so be patient and learn. You can't do it like TikTok here. Then Joshua, son of Nun, secretly sent two spies from Shittim. Go look over the land, he said, especially Jericho. So they went and entered the house of a prostitute named Rahab and stayed there. Some people believe that Josephus and other early writers said that she was an innkeeper. However, several other passages in the Bible described her as a prostitute. So most probably she had accommodation, keeping an inn, and then guys were coming with babes to come and do narcology. So they went and entered the house of a prostitute named Rahab and stayed there. The king of Jericho was told, "Look, some of the Israelites have come here tonight to spy out the land." So the king of Jericho sent this message to Rahab: "Bring out the men who came to you and entered your house, because they have come to spy out the whole land." But the woman had taken the two men and hidden them. She said, "Yes, the men came to me, but I did not know where they had come from. At dusk, when it was time to close the city gate, the men left. I don't know which way they went. Go after them quickly. You may catch up with them." But she had taken the men to the roof and hidden them under stalks of flax she had laid out on the roof. Okay. So the men set out in pursuit of the spies on the road that leads to the fords of Jordan. And as soon as the pursuer had gone, the gate was shut. Number one, assuming that Dr. Apoki's World Outreach Evangelical Church sent out spies to go and look at the land we want to establish a church, and they came back with a story that they slept in the house of a prostitute, that they stayed in the house of a prostitute. Would you take them seriously? They will be disfellowshipped. The ways of God are not the ways of man. Number 2, today's pastors, all these Okpomiliki pastors, these pulpit bandits, these Ashawo prophets, Ashawo Babalawo prophets, they will have done a threesome with Rahab. But these are men who knew the gravity of the work on their shoulders. The priest of in those days had bars or stones on their shoulders with the names of the children of Israel. And they had the names of the children of Israel over their left shoulder, their breast, where the heart is. So they had the burden of the body of the church in their heart and on their shoulders, and holiness unto the Lord was on their forehead. So these were serious-minded spies. And let me quickly say that Mossad, the Israeli Secret Service, did not start today, or did not start with Ben-Gurion or whoever established them. It started long time before the establishment of the nation of Israel. Is a strategic way that they think. So remember, God sent some to go and spy the land too, the land of Canaan. So why would they choose Rahab? Number 1, she was strategically located. I have a book I have written on Rahab. You can check for it online. She was strategically located. The wall of Jericho was so thick that there was accommodation inside the wall. That was where her inn was located. Her joint was located. History has it that 5 chariots could gallop side by side on the wall of Jericho. So it was a thick wall. Location matters. Location matters a lot. Don't tell me that John the Baptist was in the wilderness and people were going to meet him. If there was a John the Baptist in Jerusalem, people will not struggle to go and meet the one in the wilderness. So don't just assume some scriptures and suspend your brain. Don't locate a church on the 3rd floor without a lift. Old people will not come. You should locate your business and yourself and your life where you can be easily reached. You are meeting me now and knowing me now because I was located in a place far from the center of activity. I was located in Ughelli. It is the internet that has turned the world into a global street. That is why you are meeting me now and you are knowing me now. And I will do a video I'm going to give a lecture, a webinar on how to get limitless opportunities in this generation. Locate yourself where you will give people less stress, where you will even give God less stress to bless you. If the Harlot was living close to the king's palace or living in the center of Jericho, God will have had to do a lot more work. I know you will say it's impossible, nothing is impossible, but it would have been more stressful to go and hide in the house of Rahab in the city center. Their escape will have been more difficult. So, learn this: location, location, location. I am struggling to do some things because of where I am located. Number 2, if my school had been along the road, we will have had more admissions, more visibility. Visibility is key. Accessibility is key. When people reach my school, they will say, so a big school like this is in Ughelli. The one in Okokoko, the same thing. So we are getting wiser. Location is key. She was strategically located. The next thing is that she had the mental capacity to handle the complex situation from her past experiences. When the people who went to report to the king left the inn, she knew, because as a street girl, as a street girl, their eyes go to and fro. She's streetwise. She knew the identity of those men. She knew that they were close to the palace. She knew that they are preconizers. And immediately they left in a hurry without finishing their drink or meal. She knew they had gone to report to the king. So she immediately took these 2 spies to the rooftop where she had laid down flax. Before the advent of cotton, cotton and polyester, flax was the material used to make clothes after animal skin. You know, God was the first fashion designer when he used animal skin to clothe Adam and Eve. And so she had flax on top of her roof. What does that signify? Even though she was doing hookup, she also knew that younger girls were going to come, and she was planning for her future, developing a skill that will keep her going when she becomes older, and she might not be as attractive and have the strength. I ask you a simple question. Do you have an exit plan? Where you are now, if they drop you suddenly, what will you fall back on? What will you fall back on in old age? If Donald Trump grabs you suddenly and sends you back to Congo, what will you fall back on? If a new policy comes out in the UK and it affects you, what will you fall back on? So she had an alternative skill, an exit plan. The question you must answer, do you have an exit plan? Wherever you are now, do you have an exit plan? The next thing was that she's a strong-willed organizer, strong-willed woman and organizer. When the people came, she practiced what is called taqiyya in Islam. She told a lie to save herself. She told the people, yes, they were here. But before the gate could be locked, they had gone outside at dusk. So she understands the psychology, the sociology, and the system of Jericho, that they usually lock the gate at a certain time. And that these men, before they could lock the gate, they had gone. Follow the road, you might meet up with them. She diverted them towards the road, and eventually you will see that she sent the men towards the hills to stay there for 3 days. In those days in the River Jordan, there are shallow parts that are about 2 or 3 feet deep during the dry season that you could easily cross with legs. So you are telling me when the children of Israel crossed the River Jordan, it was during the rainy season, because God likes to do shakara by allowing you see some great difficulties that he will come and act on, because man's extremity is God's opportunity. So the River Jordan divided during the rainy season. When it is filled and the dimension is about 2 to 3 miles wide. And so she directed them in the wrong way. Then she took them to the rooftop. The Bible says that the men, as soon as the pursuers had gone out, the gate was shut. Can you imagine strategy? Can you imagine synchronicity? Can you imagine sharp thinking? I marked in this Bible about 30 years back. I said, can you imagine sharp thinking? So she was wiser than the king. So before the spies laid down to sleep, she went to meet them to negotiate. She did not want to hear that it was sleep I that we used to talk with you. No, they were still awake. Learn to negotiate. When you are alert, the person you are negotiating with is also alert, so that there is no excuse. There was no documentation, however. I said that you can do business with the devil with documentation, because documentation prevents argumentation, but alertness prevents excuses. And so before they could lie down, that's verse 8, she said to them, I know the Lord has given this land to you, and that a great fear, I know, number one, a great fear of you has fallen over us, number two, so that all who live in this country are melting in fear, number three. We have heard, number four, how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea, number five, for you when you came out of Egypt, and what you did to Sihon and Og, the two kings of the Amorites, east of the Jordan, whom you completely destroyed. When we heard of it, our hearts melted. Everyone's courage failed because of you. For the Lord your God is God in heaven above, God in heaven above and on earth. So she made this confession of faith in Jehovah. Technically, in today's balance, she got born again. Before Charles Finney, there was nothing like altar call. People didn't come forward to give their lives to Christ. But this woman, by her confession, just like another woman, Ruth, who was a Moabitess with a curse on her head, said, your God shall be my God. Your people shall be my people. Don't tell me to go back. She also became the great-grandmother of Boaz, the lineage from which David came out and Jesus came out. So, the altar call is not the ultimate. It is the belief from hearing, the fear of the Lord, the acceptance of his supremacy and sovereignty. For the Lord your God is God in heaven above and on earth below. So she was converted, even though she was a hookup girl. This answers some of the questions I have been having. I have a lounge near me here, and I hear them sometimes play Christian songs, and I hear the people dance. The New Year Day, New Year Eve, they started by playing church songs. Many people love God, but they can't leave their past to follow God into their future. Rahab had a clean break from her past to follow God into the future. She could have, the men who crossed the River Jordan were newly circumcised. I was circumcised as a big boy. And the circumcision wound, when it is healing or it is healed, itches a lot. And so the spies that went to go spy the land and met with Rahab, the head of their male organ could have been itching, and they would have wanted to do testing the mic, just a threesome with Rahab. But Rahab, instead of pursuing cheap gain, she pursued the profit of a glorious future. So most people go for immediate gain, while some others go for the profit of the future. A lot of you in Nigerian political scene, a lot of you in the ministry, a lot of you and all this, you are just sycophants bowing down before people because of your immediate gain. She was thinking about salvation. And so, then she started negotiating. The negotiation was born out of faith in the capacity of Jehovah to take the land. He said, please swear to me by the Lord that you will show kindness to my family. She didn't think of only herself. Most politicians, most people think of only themselves. They don't think of the society. How can you be supplying bullets and guns and food and fuel to bandits in Borno State and in the north in general? How can you be supplying charging phones for herdsmen that yamutunaize your people in your community? You are thinking only of immediate gain and only yourself. And so, because I have shown kindness to you, give me a sign that you will spare the lives of my father and mother, my brothers and sisters, and all who belong to them, that you will save us from death. Can you imagine that? Very specific, very articulate, very detailed, just like Abraham's agreement with Ephron concerning Machpelah, the cave of Machpelah, when Sarah was to be buried, that the trees and all therein and the cave have been deeded unto Abraham. I see a lot of idiocy among people. Even this video I'm making now, you will see an idiot will come. He won't listen to the words. He will just take the general heading. How can a prostitute be righteous? Stop talking nonsense. That's a brain that is on cruise, on flight mode. They don't reason. They don't articulate. And this generation is filled with very, very stupid people. Very, very stupid people who don't reason. Who don't reason. And they are not detailed. They are not detailed. What is your last blood pressure? You don't know. You are not detailed. I was telling somebody, I said, this lady you are sending this document to is a very detailed lady. Please do it well. So, are you detailed? Do you follow details? You see, the mortgage crisis before Obama came into power in America, people were just signing mortgages without reading the fine lines, and they couldn't afford them. And there was a collapse. They were driven out of their homes. Be detailed in all your endeavors. She specified, our lives for your lives, the men assured. If you don't tell what we are doing, we will treat you kindly and faithfully when the Lord gives us the land. So she led them down by a rope through the window, for the house she lived in was part of the city wall. Now she has said to them, go to the hills so that the pursuers will not find you. Hide yourself there 3 days until they return, and then go on your way. There were hills in one direction away from where she sent the men to. And there were caves in those hills that the men could hide in. And she told them for 3 days. There is a typology of the burial of Jesus Christ for 3 days before he came out. And so they hid for 3 days. But listen, don't be a fool. Be transactional and be wise. The men said to her, this oath you made to us, swear will not be binding on us, unless when we enter the land, you have tied this scarlet cord in the window, through which you let us down, and unless you have brought your father and mother and brothers and all your family into your house. If anyone goes outside your house into the street, his blood will be on his head. We will not be responsible for anyone who is... We will not be responsible. As for anyone who is in the house with you, his blood will be on our head if a hand is laid on them. But if you tell what we are doing, we will be released from the oath we made to you. See wisdom? Not like African countries that just sign agreements anyhow. They said, number one, see this red cloth tied on the window where you let us through. In Jewish tradition, that red cloth historically represents the blood that was on the doorpost during the Passover. Tie it there so that when we come, we will know the house. Number two, you see, these guys were very wise. They knew that if there were too many relatives that were saved during the day, the time they would enter the city, their lives would be in danger because the crowd that would fight against them or be against them would be much. So they limited the crowd to that house. Assuming it is this flat where I live in, this is a 4-bedroom flat upstairs and 4 downstairs. There is a limited number of people who could stay here. And so the spies restricted the agreement. Any agreement deal you are doing, put limitations, put restrictions. Don't just do an open deal. You go cry and you go say, had I known, according to Gege. So the men swore. Now, 2 things I will say here. Number one, where did she get a rope to lower the men down that night? She was not prepared. Where did she get a rope? Okay, you could say she was fetching water from a well downstairs. But I suspect that woman was a worry babe, strong babe. Where did she tie the rope to? I suspect God knew that she had a rope. That rope, she used to anchor it somewhere and throw it down when she goes outside to do runs. And when the city gate is locked, that is how she climbs into her window. I am speculating because my mind is fertile. God has a way of using your past experiences, exposures, and capacities to fulfill your destiny. I debated right from secondary school. I debated for the Alexander Brown Hall in medical school, and we won the debate trophy. We were preparing for exams when we went to debate. I debated for the University of Ibadan. So God had been preparing me for this situation, for what I am doing. And that's why I don't struggle to do it. There are your pasts that God will use in your present. When you get born again, don't switch off your skills. Don't switch off your talent. Don't switch off your experiences. Don't switch off your exposure. That is why many Christians are very daft, sluggish, and easily manipulated. So, and when they are in public office, they don't defend the faith. They are not articulate. Now, so she let them down. And the men went into the cave and stayed there. The next thing, how did she manage this population in a confined space? How was their order? How was the sanitation? How was the feeding? She had administrative capacity. Harlots are very, very strict. They don't fear. They can be very firm, and they know how to manage their lives and organize people. They can, hey, sit down. If you do this, I'll throw away you outside now. Do this and do that. And she was able, God saw that capacity. And eventually, when the spies came, now, it is for 7 days that they stayed there. 7 days that they stayed in that house. 7 days. The spies went around the city for once a day for 6 days, and then 7 times on the 7th day. And when they blew the trumpets, oh, this is very amazing. When they blew the trumpet, the walls of Jericho fell down flat. Some Bible scholars and excavators believe that they sank into the ground. But guess what? The wall where Rahab, the portion where Rahab was living, stood erect. It did not fall. I presume that it was like a duplex. There was the down floor and the upper floor. Stood erect. The God of exception, the God that can protect, the God that can preserve, the God that keeps his word. And that same God will preserve you, will protect you, will keep you. No matter 1,000 can fall by your right, 10,000 can fall by your left, it will not touch you. The scriptures come alive in the Old Testament when we analyze them like this. Now, Rahab eventually got married to one of the spies, Salmon, according to Bible scholars. It is from there that the genealogy of some of the descendants of David, ancestors of David, came from. Now, why did the spy marry Rahab, the hookup babe? She rebranded herself. She changed her language. She changed her dressing. She changed her work. She changed her style. And one of the spies looked at her and said, "This is a new creation," because she had gotten born again. Her spirit, her appetite, her taste were changed, and her past was forgiven. Those of us who are preaching here, like me, I was a badly bad guy. The badicity, let me manufacture that word, of my past, I have converted it to what I am doing, the productivity of my present. God does not remember my past. He is more interested in my future. No matter who you are, listening to me now, if you change your mind today and draw a line between your past and your future and rebrand and repackage yourself and reposition and represent yourself, God will make history with you. What has happened in your past is in the tomb, is dead and buried. What will happen in your future is in the womb. You can push it out and deliver it. I decree upon you, and I want you to write it. My past will not spoil my future. My future is greater than my past. I am going to be a new person. I will repackage, I will redesign, and I will reposition myself. And God will rebrand me. I remain your friend, Dr. Charles Apoki. We have a webinar coming up on the 21st of February. I hope I'm right. 21st of February. And it's going to be on limitless opportunities and possibilities in the year 2026. Send a message to +234 80 21 21 92 62 to register you. Just get the number +234 80 21 21 92 62. They will register you. Is a paid webinar, and it's for 1 day. It is recorded. The link will be sent to you if you can't attend, because people from all over the world usually attend. Don't miss it. Pay for your children, pay for your brothers, pay for your sisters, pay for your enemies so that they can do well and forget about you. The number again, +234 80 21 21 92 62. We have a lot of properties for sale. God bless you.